welcome back. This is your election headquarters, Joy News TV and Joy 99.7 FM. He is Gary Al-Smith.
And he is in Sherado as well. Don't forget that in this segment, as we've been doing since the coverage started, we take a holistic view at what is trending on social media. Essentially, we look at what Ghana is talking about in relation to this election.
And don't forget, the election results update is brought to you by McDan Chipping, your total logistics partner, NIIT, Enroll for Quality Computer Education in Ghana, and the official insurance partners for the 2016 election headquarters, Phoenix Insurance and Phoenix Life Assurance. And don't forget, we've been refreshed by Cowbell, Smile, and have a sunshine day, as well as Papa's Pizza. Taste it, love it. We'll be back with more after this.
Right, so welcome again to our coverage of election 2016 on social media. There's been so much talk, as you can imagine, and the place to be has been the election headquarters, Joy 99.7 FM on Facebook and also facebook.com/Joy News. The hashtag across board has been Election HQ. And just to give you an idea of how powerful our coverage has been, even the official election accounts of the Electoral Commission has been referencing us in their tweet on the official handle EC Ghana Official, and there's been a lot that's been spoken about. By the end of this session, we'll be telling you what the international media has been speaking about in relation to this election, how they've been covering it, and some of the angles they have been taking. So while many local media houses have deployed various reporters to monitor the elections in various parts of the country, the international media have been doing same as well. And behind me on the screen, for those of you watching on television, you'll be seeing what the various huge international, the prominent ones have been talking about. For those listening on radio, I'll do my best to give you a description of what we are looking at on screen. So this is Al Jazeera, who have been following this story since last week in the lead up to the election. The angle all the international media houses, I must say, have been taken has been simple, that Ghana is the beacon of democracy in Africa and that we are going to the polls. They've been extrapolating and looking at how Ghana's election will affect the rest of the continent. Don't forget that this election is coming on the heels of what was a surprising result in the Gambia. So for them, it's one down, another one to go. Here's Al Jazeera.com and their website. The news story that went up yesterday was Ghana goes to the polls in closely fought election. They have a reporter who is based in the country. His name is Nicholas Hack, and he's been filing the reports on air and online for them. So on this video, it gives you an idea of what is being talked about in terms of Al Jazeera. The storyline they've been looking at on this report, as you can see, is a family in a home paying attention to the election and watching President Mahama on the state broadcaster Ghana Television, giving an idea of what he's been doing in the lead up to the campaign. They were looking at the final campaign sessions of the NDC that happened at the Accra Sports Stadium, what they call the Greater Accra Rally, and also the final campaign of the NPP as well. They spoke to a trained nurse called Susie Darkon and got her opinion of the elections as well. And let me read the story that accompanied it on their website. It says, Ghanaians are casting their ballots in neck-and-neck presidential and parliamentary polls held at a time of economic woes and corruption scandals that have eroded President John Mahama's luster. They point out that there are 15 million registered voters, and polling started at 7 on Wednesday. And it mentions some of the credentials of Ghana and what's at stake. It says that Ghana is an exporter of gold and cocoa and is one of Africa's most successful oil exporters. It educates those who are reading that there are 7 candidates battling for the top job, and mentions Nana Akufo-Addo as the main opposition leader and also John Mahama as the incumbent. Now, according to the reporter Nicholas Hack, throughout the election campaign, the president approved a series of major and eye-catching infrastructural projects to prove to voters that government spending was not going to waste or being stolen. And they also highlight that corruption has been a main part of the coverage as well. Later on, in about an hour and a half, we'll show you the videos that Al Jazeera have been putting out there when we do a further international wrap. And also, we'll be speaking to somebody from the BBC newsroom who will tell us why they have been reporting the way they have as well. Now, speaking of the BBC, this is how they've been covering it on bbc.com for those of you watching. And this is the angle they've been looking at. Ghana elections, long queues in tight presidential poll. And they also have accompanying embedded videos as well, just like Al Jazeera have had on their website. And one of the reporters, in addition to Akwesi Sapon, is Salim Kikeke, who also visited a polling station in the middle of a busy market. And he went around soliciting the opinions of people in the market and letting the viewers know what people are about. So the storyline pretty much the same. Nana Akufo-Addo being the main opposition leader, John Mahama being the incumbent and trying to get a second term in office, as it were. It says the campaign has been dominated by the faltering state of Ghana's economy and the issue of corruption. So the same angle as Al Jazeera as well. And it says that results are expected within 3 days. Akwesi Sapon wrote a report about casting his vote. And yesterday in my social media review, I referenced the fact that we all didn't know until he was live on air that Akwesi Sapon's Christian name is Daniel. Apparently, he's been hiding it for all these years. I'm sure the only person who would have known that is the man who used to pay his salary here at Joy FM as well. So he voted in Tema, and later, in about an hour and a half, we'll speak to Akwesi Sapon live here to give us an idea of how he's been and why he's been reporting to the international community on the way he's been as well. So, John Mahama being shown here on the BBC website, and also Nana Akufo-Addo shown casting his vote in Kibi in the Eastern region. They also had videos of people voting in northern Ghana, and it talks about Tamale in northern Ghana being traditionally a stronghold of the NDC. You got all the analysis before we came on air from Raymond Akwa as to how the dynamics have changed from 2008 to 2012 to 2016 and the upsets we are seeing. Inshirado is on standby to let you know the big wigs who are falling in the northern region and across the country as well. So stay with us. So that's how BBC have also been covering it. They've been heavy on the video content because they have people on the ground, just like Al Jazeera as well. And just like the BBC do in every election, they like to give a profile of all the main candidates. So they have a profile of Nana Akufo-Addo and a profile of John Dramani Mahama as well. Nana Akufo-Addo, of course, being 72 years, John Mahama being 58 years, having celebrated his birthday just about a week ago. Next up for us, we have the Daily Telegraph, another UK-based newspaper. They took an interesting angle. They chose to look at Nana Akufo-Addo as the entry point of their coverage. They call her Ghana's Hillary Clinton. And it says Nana Rawlings is the first woman to run for president in West African country as election gets underway. As you may know, this is wrong. The Telegraph have gotten it wrong. It's Ellen Johnson Sirleaf being the first woman in West Africa who did so. So they got it wrong. That report was by Colin Freeman and the Agence France Presse, AFP, in Accra. So they look at her and they compare her to Mrs. Hillary Clinton. They call her, a passionate advocate for women's rights as well. So that's it for the Telegraph. And what else do we have here? We have the New York Times. Their coverage was by Sean Lingas and Dion Cersei. Sean Lingas is in Accra and covering, but she's gone back to the States. They also have a video of John Mahama at the final rally at the Accra Sports Stadium on the New York Times website. And what they want to do is give an idea to the mostly American-based audience of why this election is important in the African context. And again, because Ghana is the beacon of democracy. They focus on John Mahama, and they again talk about a slowing economy as a big reason why this election may go beyond him. They say Mahama is seeking to convince voters that he has helped steady and has somewhat improved the situation created by global forces beyond his control. They also focus on Nana Akufo-Addo, and just like the BBC and also Al Jazeera, they talk about a couple of people they speak with on the ground. The final paper we look at is the Daily Mail, also in the UK. The headline for their coverage of the election is Ghana's president and longtime opposition leader face off in a vote. Same storyline, NDC MPP, and then they speak to a couple of people on the ground. They, as the Daily Mail like to do, they are extensively looking at a lot of pictures of high quality to give their audience an idea of what they are looking at. The Daily Mail has come under a lot of criticism, if you recall, because they were one of the papers in the UK that gave a not too complimentary coverage of the Gambian election. They focused on the fact that Adama Barrow, the man who eventually won the election in Gambia, was a former security guard at Argos, the retailer in the United Kingdom. If we can show you this image from Al Jazeera, just to finish my side of the things before I go to Inshira, it will give you an idea. Al Jazeera are referencing Joy FM as the place to be. And as you can see on your screen, it says on Al Jazeera, Joy FM poll has Akufo-Addo on 48.96% and President Mahama polling on 48.72%. If Al Jazeera, one of the biggest, is following Joy FM as the reference point, what excuse do you have, Inshira? Do you have any excuse?
Absolutely none, Gary, and thanks very much for a comprehensive look at what's been trending across the globe as far as international coverage is concerned. Let me remind our listeners and our viewers that we have up to about 17,000 viewers right now consuming all our content on My Joy Online. That's the place to be if you need comprehensive coverage on your election headquarters. Now, you talked a bit about some winners and losers. Now, let's start off with the former Minister of Interior, Mr. Mark Woyongo. He lost his seat in Navrongo Central, and Amadou Sorogo also lost the seat, Madina La Nkwantanan, and Mutala Mohammed, the Nanton seat, has now also gone, and Kwame Jokoto. Now, quite a number of you were disappointed that he was going to be leaving the TV screens. Well, guess what? I have a feeling he's going to be returning, and he will be there for at least 4 more years because he didn't make the cut to win in Takwa in Swayem. Alex Treme, the Deputy Minister of Education, also lost the Techima North seat. The notable losses is for the Foreign Minister, Hannah Tete, losing Ewutu Senya West to George Anda, as well as Benita Sena Okitidua. Looks like the people of Lejokuku have decided that you will come in, serve for 1 term, and off you go. Now, a few winners. Sam George, after winning the interesting battle to get the nod from the party to stand on their ticket, also went on to win the Ningo Pram Pram seat. Dambotre retained his seat, as well as Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagwing also retaining his seat. And Anthony Cabo, at the second attempt, has finally annexed the Laura seat. Hannah Bisu, Deputy Minister of Agriculture, also has lost her seat. And Zaneto Rawlins has won the Clote Cole seat. So we'll be bringing you some more later. But before we go, let's bring you some of the highs and the lows. Actually, rather on the lighter side. A number of people have been, misbehaving and taking pokes at folk on the internet. And we're going to be showing you quite a few of those on your screen now. Let's start off with Mrs. Rawlins. So the caption says, people actually voted for me. Oh, me, I was joking. Or I don't think she was, but someone thinks this is a cool idea to really throw Mrs. Rawlins. And quite a number of them. We have another one that talks about Hannah Tete. There was a shot that she put out when Occupy Ghana staged their very first. Okay, Ishra, apparently your sound is off, so it will be rectified for you while we come back. And yes, we'll sort it out in a minute. So, as you can see on your screen, or as you could see on your screen, Inshira had some of the funny images. Nana Kunidu Rawlins, the wife of the former president, there as well. And there were some memes as well on social media, a couple of them on Parkway Indo, and a couple of them also referencing the fact that MPP are in the lead and an elephant going into the Flagstaff House. We'll come back after this short break. Don't go away.
And don't forget, keep tweeting, keep Facebooking, and keep joining our coverage. You can watch us live through various means. As Inshira said, there are over 17,000 people watching at every point in time on the My Joy Online app, where you can watch us live. Also on Facebook, we are embedded there. And so if you go to any of our main Facebook pages, facebook.com/joy997fm and facebook.com/joy news, you can watch us live from Facebook as well. Across board, the hashtag is ElectionHQ, and we are the leaders. All election hubs, all election centers, all election commands, and all election houses report and defer to the election headquarters. Of why they are reporting the way they are. Some of the questions that we've been asking all the time: why do they focus on the negative headlines when it comes to African elections and so on and so forth? But we'll do that all a bit later in the continuing coverage of social media. Hashtag ElectionHQ, and that is where we've been having a lot of rather very, very interesting and light-hearted, sometimes funny, sometimes very vicious images and memes going on. Inshira has the details. Inshira.
Well, thank you very much, Gary, and we're back with more. Now, let's start off with some of the images that have been making the rounds on social media. Now, for those of you who are not seeing this, it's just an expression of shock and surprise on the face of Mrs. Rawlins, which someone has just basically used as a meme. And it says, people actually voted for me? Oh, me, I was just joking. Oh, that's interesting. Now, some people are taking another meme here, refers to. So Afarijan with his hands up saying, Ghanaians be like, we miss Afarijan, and Afarijan's response is, I beg you. And now, a number of images of Dr. Indum. Now, if you notice, when he speaks to make emphasis, he always used to have a finger up, and he says, I know you won't vote for me, but I beg, my one vote, dear. Don't forget. And another one, this was a tweet from the handle Hannah Tete, and this was a tweet that she sent on the first march by Occupy Ghana, showing a very sparse crowd on the day. And basically, she said, Occupy Flagstaff House crowd. The numbers were, well, never mind. Well,
the background to that image is that, if you recall, at the time, Hannah Tete was on several media teasing Occupy Ghana for apparently not having people coming to their demonstration.
Yeah.
And that was the pictorial evidence she used on Twitter. And now that well, from the provisional result, we hear that she has lost. People have brought the image back and are reminding her that she has been beaten by somebody who used to be or is a key member of Occupy Ghana.
Well, it turns out that numbers is all you need in the end. And another one shows the president in what looks like a church, and, you know, with his hands clasped, and the caption says, "Oh, Iradinyami, miyem shishimi." Well, we will be bringing you more so that you can all be calm and go about your business. More importantly, remain where you are. Let the EC do its job and keep your dials here with us, as well as staying with your election headquarters. Thank you very much. This has been the social media update, and one more to say goodbye to you. Etiban, the man is on his way back to your television screen. Kwame Jokoto lost in the Takwa and Swayam, and there's a shot of him. I'm not sure whether this was after or before he lost, but he's sitting on the floor, as you would describe, or sackcloth and ashes. Yeah. That's the mood he is in right now. And his opponent, who won, is broad smiles on the screen. Well, thank you so much, and we'll be back with more on your election headquarters. Don't go anywhere.
Right, so just to finish up, the international media have been watching us and looking for the official results, much like everybody else. But in Ghana, as you know, a lot of people look to the media and to look for what the media and their reporters around the country bring to them in terms of the results. The leading coverage, obviously, from the election HQ is this. If you go onto the website of myjoyonline.com, this is the image that will come that meets you. the John Dramani Mahama and Nana Akufo-Addo, as well as others, put in a kind of a pie chart situation. Currently, out of 185 constituencies, we have, out of the 275, we have 185. The NDC, led by John Dramani Mahama, has 46.18%, representing just over 3.2 million votes. The NPP has 52.00%, representing over 3.6 million votes. All the others have been aggregated, all the 5 others, and they in total have 1.82%. Other serious places where the elections are being called are also calling their results, and we'll be looking at that later on. But that's it for the social media update. If you have anything to let us know on WhatsApp, please keep the conversation coming. We are interactive and we try to answer as many questions and as many queries as possible.